Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Spiritual View. It's Thursday evening, June the 12th, 2025. And we've got a group of lovely ladies here this evening. We are just delighted to be with all of you. And I'm just going to introduce everyone who is here this evening. We have Wendy joining us. Hi, Wendy. We have Jen from the Awakened Jen. We have Dawn from Astrology and Tarot Alchemy, and our guest host this night is Denise from Spirit Dragon Tarot. And if you haven't already listened to the Wild Card Wednesdays, Denise did a wonderful job yesterday. Thank you, Denise. And we will make sure that you've got information around her own channel and information about Denise if you would like to check her out. But again, we will be having a separate reader who's guest hosting with us every week. And we started last week with Morgan. Denise, you're a returning champion, so we welcome you back once again and delighted to have you. So like always, if you are wanting to get a private reading or card pull this evening, just put a heart in the chat and we will see what we can do to get to as many people as we can. Just a quick announcement. If you did not see the full moon in Sagittarius ritual that we did on June the 11th, please check that out, because as Dawn says, with the energy, we're only a day or so out of the full moon. And it's really important to set the intentions of what you want to release and to journal that. And there is a ceremony that you can follow and a guided meditation that can help you release all those things that no longer serve you, that you want to get out of your life. So with that, we're going to get started. And tonight we have a great lineup. We've got so much going on astrologically. Jupiter and Cancer, just to name one, but we've got other things we'll talk about. And we are going to be starting first with just a very quick grounding. And I think one of the messages that we got, Dawn, from the astrology for the weekend and all through next week is we've got to be super grounded. And so let's just start really quickly. For all of you who have joined, thank you. And it's almost Friday. We're almost to the end of the week and the weekend. So let's close our eyes and we're just going to take a couple of nice deep cleansing breaths in through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. Once again, in through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. And as you relax and settle into your body, just notice where you have tension in your body. Let that tension go with each of your nice, deep cleansing breaths. Right now, your job is just to be here in the present moment, to settle into your body, relax your mind, relax your body. And as you continue to take some nice deep breaths, imagine that we are sitting under a beautiful oak tree. This massive oak tree with many branches. It's been around for probably 200 or 300 years. It has ancient wisdom and knowledge, and these beautiful, deep, massive roots that go way down into Mother Gaia. And each of us are sitting underneath this beautiful oak tree, connecting with the energy of Mother Gaia and the oak tree, standing tall and firm, providing support, stability, security, and safety. And as we ground ourselves this evening, we are going to clear our energy centers, our chakras, and imagine that we have this beautiful golden light coming down from the heavens as we sit underneath this beautiful oak tree, protected and grounded. We have Archangel Michael just sitting right beside us, giving us that strength. And imagine this beautiful golden light just gently swirling, starting at the crown chakra, the top of our forehead, just working its way gently and swirling and cleansing all of our chakras, moving down through our energetic and physical body, all the way down through our feet, connecting us down, 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 deep into Mother Earth. She greets us and holds us firm, supporting us, nurturing us, and allowing us to feel safe. And that beautiful golden light comes back up, works its way up through the physical and energetic body, through the chakras, all the way through the crown, all the way up into the heavens, and connects us with Source or with God. And this energy comes around each of us in a cone of protective light, with Archangel Michael beside our side to hold our hands, to protect us, and to help us stand tall in our truth. And the oak tree never fails to support us with that beautiful root system connecting to Mother Gaia and supporting us and nurturing us and helping us to secure our safety and our truth. We're going to take one last deep breath in through the nose. Exhale out through the mouth. All right, we are grounded, and over to Dawn. Thank you.
Well, we do have two very big squares going on that's coming up for this next week. And they're very, very important. The first one I'm going to mention is we do have Jupiter in Cancer, which Jupiter loves being there. Jupiter has a lot of resources there. But it's going to be given a hard time by Saturn in Aries. And Saturn, it's not its favorite place to be in Aries. So it's going to cause problems. And it's being a square, so there's action involved. So this is also the world axis. Now, we've been talking for a while about how the astrology is going to be playing out. This is starting now. This is what's going on in the collective now. And it'll kind of be stopping and starting well out until February of next year with all these different things that are going to be happening. But the thing now is to realize that there's not going to be a lot, because this is going to be at a global level, that there might not be much that you can do about it. You can be an observer. There's going to be restrictions placed. One of the examples I was talking about earlier, when they were both conjunct, what happened, that was in December of 2020. And then the following couple months later, we had Russia go in to Ukraine. Now you have Ukraine being Jupiter in Cancer, a very fertile place. It has all these great resources, right? And Jupiter was, and Saturn was like, I want that. So I'm going to try and take that. And that would be that energy that would happen at the conjunction, and that is now we're coming into the square. And because that happened right at the time of the conjunction, I probably see something going on with in the next month with Russia and Ukraine in some form or another. There's going to take a while. There'll be something that'll happen, and it'll take a while to work through some of the things that are happening. Someone also explained it as, say that you are having a baby and you're really excited about that. You know, that's that energy of, Jupiter and Cancer, family, so much excitement. But then the baby comes early. It's a preemie. So now you have this energy of, the Saturn and Aries energy of, okay, but now there's restrictions on this. It's going to turn out to be fine, but there's going to be, okay, you have to have the baby in the hospital longer, then the mother might have to stay a little longer, might be a bigger hospital bill, something like that, where there's just this problem that Saturn's creating. So that's one of the things that I want you to be aware of, is that energy that's going to be out there. And being that calm in the storm for that kind of energy. What does not help is that we also have Mars squaring Uranus. Mars currently is in Leo. Anything in Leo is a diva, has to be seen. And the perfect example of Mars being in Leo is a military parade. That's the example. And then one of the ladies had said, oh, I think that might, the one that they're talking about coming up on, I think, is it Flag Day or something that's coming up as well. There's going to be a thunderstorms possible. And I'm like, well, that sounds perfectly accurate because that's Uranus, the unexpected. Like, well, you think you're going to have a plan, but you're not going to have a plan. That isn't going to work because it's not, something's going to be happening and it's going to be unexpected. So all of a sudden it could be like a horrendous downpour. There could be lightning, things like that. That is not a surprising energy of those two things, because we're talking, Uranus is very quick, very sudden, unexpected. And you have Mars in that Leo energy, which is very showy. It's very showy. I'm an athlete. I want the laurel, right? That's that energy of an athlete in Leo. It's like, I want the recognition. That's that energy. And those are two squares. Those are two separate squares that are going on. So you have to realize that energy. And really, this is why we've been saying for so long, self-care is really important right now, because we're going to be needed later. There's nothing that we're going to be able to do about this energy other than observe it, stand back and observe it. And it shows up in our personal lives. It has showed up in our personal lives. And I think we deal with it as best we can, because, you know, some other people, they don't have the understanding of what we do. Does knowing astrology make things easier sometimes? Not really, but at least you understand what's going on. And that is the beauty of it, because you're like, okay, I see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? I see that this is a learning thing that I have to do. I have to have this happen. And this is what has been planned for the collective for a long time in order to get us to ascend. But no one changes unless they have to or are forced to. That's just a rule, right? You don't change if everything's fine. So I want you to be aware of that energy. We will probably, this first energy of what's going on with the two squares, we are going to get some of that is going to calm down a little bit right when we reach the summer solstice, which is the 20th of June, right? When the sun goes into Cancer. That'll calm things down somewhat. We will have an ongoing square between Saturn and Jupiter for a while. And this is world stage stuff. Can it affect you on a personal level? Yes, it can, especially if you have personal planets in those areas. You know, the beginning of any of the cardinal signs, that'll be squares or oppositions. So it's Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, 0 to 5 degrees. Later on in the fall, both Neptune and Saturn will be going back into Pisces. Jupiter will have a retrograde as well, but never leaves Cancer. When it entered into Cancer, it stays in Cancer the entire time. So there is going to be an interesting trine that happens between Jupiter and Saturn coming up the end of November. So there is nice energy with that at 25 degrees, which happens to be on top of my sun. So what I will say about that, the 25 degrees in Pisces is where we had the very first eclipse that happened. So it's faded energy. It's things that we're going through, but it's a trine then. It's a trine then. So think of that energy as things are changing. So we will have kind of harder energy easing off, then harder energy again, then easing off. And that's how this is set up for the next 10 months. I would say a good solid 10 months. The big thing
is something that because you just pointed on it, that feels like literally like labor. And then you had, the 10 months, it intensifies and eases up. It intensifies and eases up. So what comes at the end of that? is
That-
the reward.
That is Gaia giving birth. That is Gaia ascending. That is Gaia doing all of these things, because I also think that there's going to be a lot of natural changes. We've had a huge increase in earthquakes. We've had a huge increase in volcano activity. This is Gaia leveling up. We need to stay connected to Gaia. We need to help her with her labor pains. That is such a beautiful, perfect thing to say, Jen, truly, because that is what this is. This is the pain of a baby being born, or the rebirth of countries, or the rebirth of not even so much countries, but how we do things. It's different. It'll be more community-based eventually. It will be more community-based eventually. But, Saturn is going to try and have its rules, and they're going to try and go, oh, but we have so many restrictions because we still want to be in control. It's really not going to work. That will eventually not work, but they're still going to try. So it's just like, okay, we're just waiting it out. We're going to wait it out. If you do feel called, I would say, listen to this, not this. Listen to your heart, listen to your intuition, and you will know when to act or help someone. Because I think the other thing that we will have the opportunity to do is be the calm voice in the room and go, yep. But out here is not our focus. Here's our focus. What we're doing right now, your everyday tasks should be your focus. Your everyday people that you associate with should be your focus. Like, hey, are you doing okay? I've got, I think that is what's going to be called upon for many of us, where you're just going to be there and have something available that helps somebody out. Simple things, very simple things. But I think that's going to be all of us as light workers doing that. And just being calm in general, when someone starts to let them have their moment, they need to, that Mars energy needs to devalve a little bit, right? Be physically active, try and not get into an argument with anybody, because Mercury being in a cardinal sign with squares happening can be argumentative. And we're going to hear a lot that probably isn't true, and that we'll figure out later what's true or not. But at this point, I would not react. I would say, observe, take care of the people around you, take care of yourself. You're going to be fine, and you're going to be able to help other people. And that is the biggest message I can probably give you for all of this. Yeah, Suri.
So Dawn, in other words, there's a high likelihood in the next week we could get triggered by either the actions of others or people losing their marbles, if you will. And when we're in the moment, the best thing you can do is probably count to 10 or 100 and not say anything. Silence is going to be our best friend. Being in nature is going to be our best friend. Meditating and just being very, very soothing and calm is actually going to help the collective. And it's not going to do us any good to get energized by the news or whatever's going on, because we can't control it anyway. Is that a fair summary of what you said?
Absolutely. And I guarantee you that there'll be news that comes out that we're not going to like. I can't tell you what it is. Go ahead, Denise. Yeah.
I was just going to say that we can also be that sounding board for other people too. Like, let somebody vent, let somebody lose their, what, and then just listen and just say, okay, I hear you. And, I'm going to, if you need help being calm or help being grounded, then I'm here for you. So I think that, as you said, as the light workers, or even just anybody in this collective.
Yeah, that's very Cheroklo energy. She's a space holder for other people to heal. And a lot of times when I do people's readings and stuff, I will find naturally that people come up and tell you stuff that you don't know this person. They're coming up and telling you something very personal about themselves. They feel that they can open up to you, and you don't have to do anything but listen. That's the only job that you have. And the fact that they're speaking, they're able to speak and feel safe in being able to speak is healing for them. And that's all you need to do. You don't have to show up at their house and help them out with something. You just have to listen to what they're saying. It's like, you can be a dietitian, but you don't go clean out the refrigerator, right? You're there to support them. So many light workers will have this. There's that unnatural Cheroklo energy that people have, where people will say things to you. They feel that they can trust their energy to you, and you don't have to do anything but listen. That helps them heal. So that's a perfect segue for that. So are we ready to go ahead and start our readings for the collective? I think we're starting with Wendy.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, I just had an experience like that just happened just recently. I was in a doctor's office and this older woman just came up to me and was like, "Do I know you?" And I was like, "I don't believe we've ever met." And then she just sat and we just chatted for about 15 minutes and she was telling me all about her husband. And I was like, okay. So yeah, it was great. Okay. So getting on to our question. So we were asking today, what is Spirit's advice of how best to stay grounded in this energy? And I pulled from the Mystic Sisters Oracle deck. And I got the Sisters of Harmony. So this is the keywords for Sisters of Harmony is music, affinity, and balance. The Sisters of Harmony exemplify a joint creative endeavor and successful partnerships. It so makes me think of all of us here. Harmony is key, and you'll need to tune into each other's voice. By blending diverse voices, we find symmetry and perfect balance. Unity is achieved, which gives us a new clarity to simultaneously comprehend the complete ensemble and the individual attributes. Sharing a passion and vision with others is a beautiful way to encourage each other to increase your personal talents. There is nothing like the magic of coming together to sing the same song, to find a favorable key for you all to sing in, and to practice awareness that your individual parts are respected and complementary to each other. And again, I still feel like that's what we do here, building this community and this channel and the messages that we have and the synchronicities that we have in our messages throughout the week. It's just, building this community, trusting our own intuition and being able to hold space for others. I think it's really so important right now. And especially if you're having a hard time with self-care or, making that space for yourself, there are other people here you can lean on and ask for help. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with ever asking for help. All right. So moving on to Suri.
Okay, so I pulled from the Gaia deck, and again, what is Spirit's advice on how to best stay grounded? And I'll just share a personal experience. I think every day this week I've had friends call who I highly respect as peaceful, grounded, spiritual, and they're losing their marbles. And so I didn't say a whole lot. I literally just held the space and helped them be okay and feel safe, get out the stuff, Dawn, kind of like what you've been talking about. But getting them back to a place of kind of being the eye in the storm where, something could trigger you and pull you off, and getting them back to that safety of the eye of the storm. So this card from the Gaia deck is called Jewel Within a Teardrop, and it's appreciation, spiritual and emotional reconnection. And it says you could experience soon a strong spiritual and emotional bond with another person, family member, or maybe even a pet. But more importantly, during this time, you're really connecting with your innermost feelings and the true nature, which you might have suppressed or ignored of late. And what's been happening with my 3 friends over the past 3 or 4 days, getting triggered by some things, external events that triggered some very deep emotional reactions. Some of them were anger, some of them were grief, and it was something that they needed to let out. So you may feel yourself a deep sense of emotions, and this can transform, tears of sadness need to come out, but at the end of the rainbow on the other side are tears of joy. So sometimes I think what we need to do is hold the space for others who need to let it out, need to give themselves permission to experience sometimes very deep emotional traumas or things that they've suppressed or not been able to get out. And it says, your appreciation of life, love, and friendships will strengthen you as you give thanks for the many blessings, no matter which way they come. Love is truly all around you, and embrace it. But honor that you may have some deep emotions, or you may be supporting those who are going through a great time of emotional transformation. And so I would just say to you, if you're feeling deep emotions, stay grounded, walk out in nature, do a meditation, but just observe your emotions, but also experience them at the same time. But the jewel within the teardrop means we may have some sadness, or others around us may have some emotions that they need to connect with and not to suppress. But on the other side, it allows us to bring more joy in that's wanting to come in. And the reflection I had this week is we all pulled the sun card. Most of us pulled the sun card this week, which is there's so much that wants to come in. But sometimes we have to get through the grief process to allow the new to come in. And it's a really beautiful message. So stay grounded. It's okay to let your emotions out and find the way back to the center of the storm. And the jewel is you can feel the happiness, even though you've got to process sometimes some very profound and deep emotions. And with that, I'm going to turn it next to Jen.
Okay, so I have pulled with the Sisterhood of the Seers. And so what is Spirit's advice for how best to stay grounded in this energy? We have the Seer of Seekers, Seership, you are safe, soften. And just the energy that I picked up right away is this is much like the Hermit card. And so it's like we're taking time to kind of go in, and we're trusting ourselves in what we know more than what we're trusting, like what's being said around us. So, when you receive this card, it is time to turn inward, let go of distraction, and make the time to sit in quiet contemplation. There is nothing that you need to do in order to prepare for this quietness. No incense needs to be burned, and no chakra needs to be aligned. What is simply required of you is your presence and attention. You are called to take a journey towards your soul, to move in rhythm with spirit so that you can receive a higher perspective, a vision of insight. Seership is the ability to close the physical eyes in order to open up in the spiritual foresight. This gift is available to everyone, but it requires dedication and surrender. Sometimes not knowing is also easier than seeing things in full clarity. Denial must Denial must be let go of, and courage must be summoned in order for you to be able to fully dive into the depths of the sacred mystery while seeing with your second sight and intuitive sight. In this beautiful process of discovery, you will be guided and you will be able to explore many places. But more importantly, you will become acquainted with the most ancient, limitless part of you, the true essence of who you are in all time and spaces. The quantum version of you that is not an identity, but rather a vibration of essence that can transverse all time. This is a beautiful journey that is available to you now. If you feel the need to, you can also seek out a teacher in these sacred arts and work with them in order to expand your skill set of intuition, insight, and vision. The activation is: in the infinity of silence, I hear the sacred speak. In the infinity of darkness, I discover my own light. And so, one of the things that I did pick up in that was it saying sometimes it's better not to know. And I have said this a lot for my own spiritual path, that I only get like the next step. But if I had gotten like the full vision of what, where it was trying to take me, I wouldn't have done it. It would have been so overwhelming to me. It was so scary and just so seemingly out of my, capabilities, that I wouldn't have even tried. And so, trust that even if you don't have all the answers right now, that you will get the answers when you need them, that the answers are available right when you need them. And that you have them, that you don't have to seek outside of yourself, that they are within you. And then I also got angel number 44 with this. And so just remembering that you are protected, as you're building these new foundations, you are protected. All right. So next is Dawn.
Hello, and I am using the Earth Magic Oracle deck. It was an Oracle deck I found in London. I really, really, really like it. And the card that came out was Autumnal Release, Equinox, I'm sorry, with the release card. So this is very much about, to everything there is a season. And we're going to be going through a season just like these trees would. And what happens in their season is that it's a change for them. It's not like they're completely gone. It's just that they've gone into a resting mode, a waiting mode as to what's going to be happening. How remarkable is it that these trees, and for that matter, all of Earth Mother's children, simply know what to do with the changes in climate? Although this seasonal shift appears to be a death of sorts, it's only a preparation for the next cycle of life, one that will naturally follow the more extreme contraction of winter as an aspect of the life-death rebirth cycle that we find represented in so many different ways. That's exactly what we're going through. It's a cycle. And we are going to, Gaia is going through a rebirth. That was a perfect thing for Jen to actually pick up on, is that it is like labor pains. She is literally going through labor pains with the different changes that going on with her. And there's going to be the nature side of things that have their release, and also the man-made kind of things where everything has its seasons and we follow cycles. Astrology is all about following the cycles because, as they say, history does not repeat itself, but it does rhyme. So that's the energy that I want you to take, is that, you know, whatever is going to be coming out, and most astrologers will say, can't tell you, can tell you when, but can't tell you what's going to be happening. That's the energy. So take this time to withdraw into yourself, do your own inner healing, be that safe place, and allow others to have their space as well. So with that, we will move on to Denise.
Hello, everybody. So the card that I pulled from the Angels and Ancestors Oracle, one of my favorite decks, was Spirit Fox. And that is trust your talents in changing times, which is basically all we're talking about right now. The message is stay alert as change is in the air. And that's all that's in the air right now is change. The Spirit Fox, the red fox, an amazing, resilient creature able to survive in urban environments or the freezing temperatures of the Arctic. Foxes know what it's like to be hunted. For centuries, they've been sought for their precious fur when all they want to do is survive. So the Spirit Fox can help you overcome the energies of adversity and unfair treatment. Also, urban foxes hide in cities and go about their business in the darker hours. The fox offers the medicine of blending in. So I'm feeling that the blending in part is kind of like the shadow part, because when we're confused and overwhelmed, it's like we don't want to be seen. So when I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. So what Wendy said, when that lady, you know, felt very comfortable with her and just started talking. So if somebody needs to talk, you know, let them know that they're being seen and they're being heard, and that they don't have to just blend in, and they can share whatever is bothering them or just what they need to get off their chest, and then try to help ground them, try to help keep them in that space that they need to be, so that they can feel calm and that they don't have to feel so, like the fox reminds me of nervousness, right? The fox is kind of like nervous. I think the coyotes are a little more nervous, but the fox is still nervous. And so the extended message is you are being presented with opportunities to reach spaces you've never encountered before. And this can make you feel on edge, but be open to the shifts occurring, because they really are the answers to your prayers. Call upon Spirit Fox Medicine to help you be seen for who you are and trust in your talents in order to be the best you can be in these changes. And that reminds me of the reading that I did this week on the Wildcard Wednesday, where it says that the angels love you for exactly who you are. So don't try to just blend in, you know, be who you are, be proud of who you are, and stay grounded all at the same time. Is that a lot? Okay, so I'm going to pass it back to Wendy.
Okay. All right. So I pulled a card for Lindsay with the Enchanted Map Oracle. Okay. And I got Metamorphosis, which is a 25 card. Okay. So you are in the process of deep and beautiful change. And I think this really goes for the collective as well. I mean, we're talking about, you know, comparing this energy to going through labor, and it's kind of a rebirth. So it's a change, right? A massive change for all of us. So this says, butterflies earn their wings through great effort. The process of change is often painful, for it is never without losses and sacrifices. If you are to transform from one form to another, a part of you needs to die. Letting go isn't easy, especially when you're used to thinking a certain way about your life and how you live it. Just as a snake sheds its dead skin, or a caterpillar dies so that a butterfly can be born, you're required to release your old ideas and embrace a necessary change so you can live your best life. Perhaps you're being asked to let go of low self-worth, a dream that no longer serves you, a relationship that is draining, or unhealthy habits. Despite your fear, you must accept that this is a transformational time for you. There will be some loss involved, but you'll love what you become. And again, I feel like, you know, a lot of us are going through this, even with having new gifts come in or these new awakenings. It's a shift, it's a change, it's something new that we're having to get used to. And it's the growing pains, you know? So part of it can be really, really difficult to get through. And even in this, trying to slow down and take care of ourselves to help us, you know, be healthy and be able to transition in a better way, and really taking that time for self-care and really making sure that we're okay, so that when we get to kind of the other side of this energy, we're in a really good, healthy place to be able to really hone those skills and use them to help others, and to be able to raise that vibration and help our community and help the collective. Going through it, I know just trying to make time for that self-care can be really, really difficult. It's a huge challenge for me. I know for me personally, it's a huge challenge. So I'm not sure if it's one for you as well, Lindsay, or for others of you out there, but I know, you know, I feel like I tend to put myself last in most situations. And so forcing myself to take that time to really pay attention and make sure that I'm taking care of myself, and that I'm not just physically, but also emotionally. It's sometimes it feels like I'm going against the grain, because it's like, I feel like my energy would be so much more useful somewhere else, or helping someone else, or, you know, I'm a mom. So, I mean, I feel like I'm constantly doing a lot for my kids, and they need a lot of help, and I'm happy to do it, and I love to do it. But even they will tell me, it's like, Mom, it's like, you need to slow down and do something for you. And, you know, when's the last time you did something for yourself? And a lot of times I won't have an answer because I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. So I said this in my morning message this morning too, but I really encourage you all to just really slow down, take the time to invest in yourself and your health and your sanity, and pay attention to the world around you. Notice the things that you've been maybe overlooking, or that you just kind of take for granted, you know, But this world is full of beautiful and joyous things, and we need to celebrate them and celebrate ourselves in that. So I hope that that resonates for you, Lindsay. And we're going to go ahead and move on to 30.
Okay, I am pulling for G Star, and I hope you're still with us. It's a pleasure. And I'm pulling tonight from the Storyteller's Tarot, and I pulled this card was the Hangman. But there's a great story behind this. And if you see this as a hangman, it's actually a Norse myth, or it's a Norse mythology. And this is Odin, and he is hanging upside down. He did this on purpose from this beautiful tree. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Yggdrasil. And there's a story behind the hangman that comes from this Norse mythology. So I'm going to read it, G Star, because it's very important. We started off with the clearing today with the oak tree. And again, here's the symbology of another tree with these very deep roots. This tree is a sacred ash tree, and it stands at the absolute center of the cosmos. It's tended by 3 Norns. It's the Nordic version of the Fates, who watered it from the magical well, and its roots connect to the 9 worlds. It's the most important mortal entity in Norse cosmology, because when it dies, the entire universe dies with it. So Odin, who was considered the all-father of the gods and kings, in Norse mythology, was known for his many self-sacrifices. So he basically hung himself. He stabbed himself with his own spear, and he hung himself upside down as a sacrifice to make sure that this tree stood tall and strong and alive. So the interpretation of this card, oftentimes the hangman G Star is, I'm stuck, or I'm not exactly sure which direction to take. But in this deck, the hangman shows how surrendering something small can now lead to greater purpose and rewards in the future. In purposely suspending himself upside down, the hangman, Odin, in this depiction, he might look like he's uncomfortable, but he's merely looking for a new, unique perspective. Let go of expectations and old behavioral patterns that no longer serve you. Allow yourself to consider things from a different point of view. It's also about rest. It's around observation. So sometimes the hangman can take on a different form. It's okay to rest your body. It's okay to step back and to be observing what's going on without having to engage. So if you're trying to shift your perspective into a different point of view, G Star, or you're moving into a different version of yourself, it's okay to be reflective, contemplative, and to be at the roots of the tree, to stay really grounded so that you really understand what is your truth. And don't worry about anyone else and the need to take action. It's okay to take this pause and to be the observer, but recognize that you have this beautiful tree of support with these deep roots that is helping you stay in the center and staying grounded, so that when you do need to take action, you're coming from a place of strength, your truth, and being absolutely grounded in your truth. So I hope that resonates for you or someone out there. And again, I will pass it on to Jen.
Okay. So I wanted to pick up again on this baby thing, the birth theme. It's been really loud. And so I didn't even remember in my reading this week, that's kind of the energy that I was talking about. And there was one point where I said, you're the baby. And so I think that's why we felt, just all the contractions. And it's just from a different perspective, because I remember just that whole perspective was what I was getting, is like I was literally going through the birth process, and just how that's traumatic for the baby in a way that we don't usually talk about. We talk about the mothers, not really what the baby is experiencing in that. So it's just, I don't know, that energy is loud. And so I just wanted to bring it out again. So I have pulled for Deborah. Okay. And so I used the Sisterhood of the Seers for you. And we have Dream Your True North. And so I feel like that there is something that you have wanted to do for a long time that felt like it was just too out there. It was like literally just a dream. But I feel like that's the exact thing that you need to be doing. And one of the things I think Wendy picked up on this about the authenticity. And so like authenticity is going to be the new currency of the new earth. It's not going to be about how much you can do. It's about like how true you are to yourself and how you're showing up. And so dream your true north. The situation requires that you return to your true self, embody your authenticity, and from that centered place, begin visioning your next right step or any changes that you may need to make. It may be helpful at this time to simply step back in order to really get clear on how you feel, what your values and beliefs are, and what you would like to experience next before you take any action. Rather you spend 5 days or even a month deliberating this intentionally than spending years of your life being on a misaligned path. Alignment is when your heart and vision unite into one. Through this union, you experience life and all its stages from an unshakable place of internal congruency. This doesn't mean that there won't be any ups or downs, but it does mean that you will feel deeply connected to the truth of who you are while you're on a journey of forward movement. Like a seer who peers into the vast cosmos in order to see their place in the world, you too must ask, where does my heart belong? The answer that arises may not be about a place or person. It may not even answer what you've asked. Rather, it may be about your sole purpose, the reason for any similar or repetitive situation, and the opportunity to explore a new calling at this time. Remember that no one can make this decision for you, as you are being called to step into your spiritual power, and with that, you are required to choose. This is a powerful time of awakening. The contemplation question is, how can I honor my soul path? And so, like I said, you're going to step in as fully authentically as yourself. And so whatever feels the most you, that's where you're going to have the most success in. And so don't hold yourself back out of just fear of it feels like it's too big, it's too out there. That I think anything that you actually feel like called to do, that's what you need to be stepping into. Okay. Dawn.
So I'm reading for Morgan Tourmaline Tarot, and it's very interesting what came out. I used Earth Magic again, and it was music that came out, the harmony. And, you know, it talks about, this is what I'm getting. It's so crazy right now. Okay, so this is about all of us, actually. This is these two women who are creating their own instruments that are different from the other person's, but that they all blend together in a really beautiful harmony. And we each have our own unique gifts. It's, to me, it's very interesting that that a lot of us have things that we do besides just the tarot, and opening up to those gifts that are still in a harmony with what we're doing. So I feel like that is what we're all doing here, that harmony, that finding that right note. And we don't all have to be playing the same note. We're just playing in harmony together and doing that uplifting energy. And I actually had a song just pop in today that was like pretty loud, and it was called Price Tag. We don't need the money. We just want to make the world dance, right? It's that energy of we're in here. You can't be a spiritual person. You can be a spiritual person that makes a business, but you have to be doing the spiritual task for the right reason, right? You can't, there needs to be an equal exchange of energy. Let me put it that way. But we are doing it for the right reason. And the right reason are the people out there. So I think that is what our harmony is all about. And you're very much a part of that. You and Denise both. And so is, and I don't mean to leave you out, Ruby. You're out there too, and Hope as well. So really, it's all of this energy that we're bringing forward. And I feel like that is this, you know, sometimes we'll all be playing a different song, but it's still going to be in harmony. So I think that's what I really got from this, is this beautiful message of this is us. And I will let this go on, and we'll go to Denise.
Thank you, Dawn. I'm sure I'm saying thank you for Morgan and Ruby too, for you including us, all of you. So I am pulling for Shirley. And the card that came out is from the Cosmic Journey Oracle, and it is the 111-year-old self. And the owl, the hermit that we talked about earlier, I call it the crone card that Jen pulled out earlier. Your 111-year-old self wants to provide you guidance, wisdom, and advice, but only if asked. Like the high priestess, right? She has all the answers, but she's not going to divulge them unless you ask her. And that's your intuition, right? And remember, the high priestess, she doesn't have a roof, so she has unlimited potential. So Shirley, you have unlimited potential. You just have to trust your intuition. Imagine yourself in the future with the distinct perspective of having lived a full life, a full rich life. Your 111-year-old self has seen it all, your ups and your downs, your loves and your heartbreaks, your successes and your perceived failures, all of it. From this extended perspective, they are waiting to be called in for guidance. So your ancestors, right? Because your 111-year-old self is everything that you bring. So it's all of your what you've learned from your ancestors, all of what you've learned from your experiences, your knowledge. So we have all the answers. We just have to remember that we have to take that time to ask ourselves, because we'll go ask somebody else in a heartbeat. But we have to remember that we need to ask ourselves too. And I know that actually some of my readings this week were about, what would I tell somebody else, and why can't I follow that advice as well? So I hope that helps, Shirley. And now I will pass it back to Wendy.
Okay. So I pulled a card for asthmatics, also from the Cosmic Journey Oracle. And I got, listen, in stillness you meet your true self. Ooh, no. And immediately I thought of how, there's so much chatter and noise around us all the time, right? And sometimes it can be really difficult to filter out what it is that you actually need to hear. And that in just getting really still and quiet and like meditating, that can help us hear the quieter voices, which are the ones that we actually need to hear the most, right? Like trusting your own intuition, right? So let me go ahead and read the excerpt here for you. So, listen, in stillness you meet your true self. Shh, do you hear that? It's the whisper of the universe asking you to listen. The loudest clamor doesn't necessarily correspond to our truest heart. Imagine a pristine lake. If there are too many waves disturbing the surface, you cannot make out what's at the bottom. But when the water is still, the image becomes crystal clear. In stillness, we get the rare opportunity to listen with another set of ears. Quiet contemplation, mindfulness, meditation, and just doing nothing all have even more value in our always on lives. It's hard to say. Everything is talking to us if we simply slow down to listen fully. In those subtle whispers, you will meet your truest self. This is the same one that's been talking to you all along. And I think, again, hitting on that, being our most authentic selves and just really getting in tune with that and what that means. If you get really quiet, it's almost like a hum that kind of comes through, and it's like almost hearing your own vibration coming in. And I hope you can achieve that. It's a really cool moment. So hope that resonates for you, asthmatics, and we're going to move on to Siri.
Okay. I am pulling for Lolita. Lola, how are you tonight? Thanks for joining. And I pulled from the Oracle of the Seven Energies, and I pulled the Royal You. And this has a beautiful lotus blossom and a crown above it. And it's all this beautiful color of gold and purple. It's very regal. And so this message, Lola, is do you know what it means to express your personal sovereignty in your life? It's about how you hold your inner sense of worth and integrity, secure in your belief that you have a unique purpose. It's about feeling comfortable in your own skin, knowing who you are, and that nothing outside of you can challenge your authentic self, the hard-won seat of awareness that you have earned. And I think you've been doing a great job of that. You've been doing the work. Any challenges in your life, Lola, at this time, no matter how large or small, must be met with a measured response. And I think this is for all of us as we navigate these energies. If life sends you a challenge, can you speak up and set your boundaries, but do it with grace and ease? Calm, intelligent leadership is called for now. You know when to plan your battle, and so stay out of unnecessary drama or skirmishes and strategically wield your personal power. Now is the time to lead from the heart, from your authenticity of who you are and the integrity of who you are. Hold your head high and know that you have worth. And that is the essence of being the royal you. So I think Spirit is saying, measure your words carefully, stand tall in your truth. Don't be afraid to set the boundary and speak your truth, but do it with grace. Do it with care, because I think right now with some of these energies, what Dawn has been sharing with us is that we can get triggered to really bite back and sometimes be a little bit too sharp with our words. And it's encouraging us to step back, be calm, lead our responses, lead with our integrity. Don't give up who we are. But again, it is a message that you know who you are and be confident in that and stand tall in your truth. But there's a way that you can do it around other people who might want to trigger you that allows you just to be in a wonderful leadership position, but to do it from the space of the heart. And I hope that makes sense for you. All right. So we've had a lovely time. We didn't get to everyone this evening. And so we would encourage you to come back next week on Friday. It's right before the summer solstice next Thursday night. So we will be talking about the summer solstice. And so for those of you who joined us, thank you so much. And again, what a great conversation. The next week, the energies are going to be a little dicey. So remain grounded, remain the observer, step back, be on the eagle's perch. Don't engage in drama. Please don't watch the news. As we said, don't believe everything you see out there, and stand tall in the truth of who you are and be proud of that. Own it. And again, I think that we're going to weather the ups and downs next week with grace and ease. But again, don't let anyone pull you out of your center. If they do, go back to center, disengage. Again, take time to breathe, connect with nature, and we will all get through this stronger, wiser, and better. But remember who you are as a soul. Never forget that. That is who you are, and be so sincerely proud of that. Denise, again, we're thanking you for being a wonderful guest host. We've also had a couple of our guest hosts here, Ruby and Morgan. And again, we so much appreciate you being with us this evening. Be safe this weekend. We will be with you next week on Thursday. That will be the 19th of June. We do daily videos. Please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us grow the channel. And again, have a wonderful weekend and be safe and calm and in the center. Again, good night, everyone. Thank you so much.